I'm Poppy Xander, and I was in that band.
Hi, Poppy. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks.
So your performance just now, talk to me about that.
So I wrote that song a long time ago, and it's particularly interesting. Now I've been reading this book called The Movement, and it's about the women's movement from 1963 to 73. And it takes excerpts from all these different people who were involved in this movement and just, a paragraph of them talking. And there's thousands of these in the book. And so it's set up by, different things going on. Like whether it's medical, it's wild how just things like not being able to have a bank account, not being able to get, land, not being able to get a line of credit. I just got approved from a line of credit the other day that no one should have ever given me, but I was able to do it,
It's your right.
Yeah, it's my right.
Yeah.
Oh, but 1963, that wasn't a thing. And, if your spouse died and your father died, like that was just like you were kind of on the outs. It talks about that. It talks about, obviously, medical things, it's like people like, women really just didn't know about, like their own anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a thing. I mean, it might not have been a thing for other people, but it was definitely not a thing for women. All doctors are male for the most part. Women are kind of stuck to these jobs that are, either domestic or, secretaries, things. So that, flight attendants couldn't be married or have children. They would fire them. So like the Equal Rights Amendment, after the Civil Rights Act passed, where you couldn't discriminate based on gender, they come in and they're like, well, this is tradition to let go of flight attendants after they get married. They're supposed to be single. And so, the Equal Rights Act, works to pass this, and there's these huge women's movements happening. And I've taken this all for granted, for sure. I think we all have. We really don't know, and we think like, oh, what rights are there left, to even have, But there's a reason. When you read about the history of something like this, you see how many factors come into movements, and like I think we're in a time where we have to make a movement continue making movements.
Yeah,
and we have to do that by being together. And kind of creating space for us to be together and then collaborate, right? So the reason I bring all of that up is to say in the song, the first kind of part of this is about, is told from the perspective of a woman who is probably like, it was actually, I bought this painting from an artist and I have no idea who it was off right now, at Bonnaroo in 2013. I was working there with my partner at the time, Jeff Skelly, who's a painter. And I bought this painting and it was like this kind of woman, like Flappers 1920 style. And she was like riding a peacock. I thought it was so great. So she got her own song. And so in the song, she's kind of like a courtesan, type, and she's visiting all these people. It talks about the police and the priests, and she's servicing all of these people. However, and a lot of it is talking, and that she's got to kind of keep, she doesn't talk about any of what's said. It all kind of stays behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And I obviously find that very relatable because people's behavior on the outside is different than their behavior when you're in one-on-one or in like an intimate setting, or there's a trust gained of some sort, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be intimate always, and so and then in the chorus it talks about she hears what the mother said, and her mother says, you never meant no harm, you never meant no good, you just did what nature served, right? So there's a feeling to that. By the time we get to the second half of the song, she's kind of on a mission. She finds this man who's a captain. She goes to this ball. They're dancing. And she realizes she's going to have to like kill him. She saw it in the scrying glass earlier and halfway through the song, right?
Yeah.
So she does. She takes her dagger and just kills him, I guess. And then so he's dying. And he sees, you know, her world in some ways, but mostly here's, and the line changes to what their mother said. So you find out like their brother and sister.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so it's the same line repeated again, but it feels so different because it's about his perception of what the mother said. Mm-hmm. It's in the societal context of what, and I didn't plan it that way, but it feels that way when I sing it, because the way the mother's saying the same words of you never meant no harm, you never meant no good, you just did what nature served. There's like this pass for him. Mm-hmm. And for her, it's like the secret. She has to keep it secret because of she's a woman and she's having to kind of hold space for men.
Right.
And their duplicity.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's having to never speak a word too, because I think that, you know, men typically don't. So that's what it is about lyrically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, it's a charge to her, and then it's like a right to him or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hush hush to her, like, you know, you're just doing what you're supposed to do as surface men, you know, in mm-hmm. whatever capacity that means. You are subservient and you serve men. And, you know, of course, she takes that into her own hands and just, you know, it's like, sorry, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, it's interesting. Like, I don't know that perspective of that song, like I knew it was a play on words and perspective, but it didn't occur to me until I was playing the song yesterday to get ready for today, that I could really feel more of the depth. And that's the thing about playing songs. It's like you write these songs and there's always like more depth or something more revealed, and you never know where that's going to come from or how, you know, what you've been through like kind of reveals just more context. And that's what art is, right? It's mm-hmm. like you look at a painting 20 years ago and then you look at it 20 and now, and it might bring you back to then or the same memory, but it might also have some greater context.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it and somebody else interprets it,
yeah,
then you get the different perspectives, and this is what makes it art. It's fucking wild. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why people, and you hear it a lot from songwriters, but I think it's everybody. I think comedians or graphic artists, and they'll be like, just work, just create. And meaning will be there. Meaning is inherently there.
Right.
And your perspective is, you cannot get away from that. You cannot write something that is in a vacuum, or that like try to write something that has no meaning. Just try, you know, like you can't. There will be inherent meaning in it, and it will continue. The meaning will continue to grow, mm-hmm. and that's why the point is just do it.
Yeah.
Get in, write something, do something, say something, and then share it. Get out and work it, you know, somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so important about it. It's like the judgment piece. Is it good? Is it not good? Is it commercial? Is it not? Whatever. Okay. I think it's the same thing with singing. You know, I always felt like I had a different kind of a voice, and I don't know that I was trying to change it. But I found when I work with certain like vocal coaches and things, what I've learned now and what I tell my students is when we do these vocal exercises and when we do vocal technique, we're not trying to change your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is, I wish somebody would have told me that when I was young. Like, your voice is amazing. It's unique. It is just your voice. It doesn't really matter if you like it or not, or how you even feel about it. What we're trying to do with vocal technique is make it so that, like we were talking earlier, is like, I'm not going to get vocal damage singing this way, which I have a lot of. I'm not going to get tired singing. I'm going to be able to sustain. I'm going to be able to create space so there's not tension. Things aren't getting pinched. And so more of my voice can even be, so I can use my voice the way I want, but my goal is not to change my voice.
Right.
And, when I tell a student that, like, their face lights up. I'm like, I wish somebody would have told me, like, no, your voice is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Now
it's the technique, and that's it. And I think it's the same thing with songwriting. It's like, my recordings too, they're like 10 years old, and like I can hear my little baby voice on there, and it's like, well, if I really need to record more, some of these things now, and I think I too stepped away from recording music. Like, I played, my own songwriting, and it felt very vulnerable to sing songs like that. And they started to become personal instead of stories of other people. They were almost about myself.
Yeah.
And I think that was a shift and something I was uncomfortable with. And so I created an entire world called the Helium Queens universe. Mm-hmm. And I started songwriting through that, as a character, and I don't have to just express, go to a performance and play these super vulnerable songs for people. Yeah. And that shit's rough.
Uh-huh. So when you are a character, it is a little easier to, but you can get away with more as a character. And do you feel like you can feel free to say things that you wouldn't feel comfortable saying as yourself?
I don't know. Do you feel like you put on a character when you're singing or songwriting or in different bands?
I try not to. Mm-hmm. I've tried in so many ways, changing up the equipment, or, obviously I think there's a little bit of like a dress up thing to most things, but I'm trying to, everything I do is because I want to do it. I want to make music I like with people I like. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of where the center of everything I do comes from. And so, but there is some dress up to it. Mm-hmm. But I don't ever really feel like I'm acting, but I do have people who know me and who are close to me, or at least see me do a few different things. And they'll be like, you seem a little more comfortable in this, mm-hmm. in this space or something than you do in, this other one or whatever. And that's, that usually is like, yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Some things just are, have been there forever. And some things are things I've just discovered in the, however much time or what, but I like having all these different outlets.
Right.
But it is still me.
Yeah.
At the center always. Do you get annoyed when, do you find it annoying when people are like, how many bands are you in?
Yeah, because I don't want to count.
Yeah.
I'm like, it does. Yeah, it feels like it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So how many bands are, no, well, like, yeah, what, yeah. Do you like that freedom of like bouncing around and not having to be like, this one thing identifies me, or?
Yeah, it's really interesting for me. I feel like, we're talking about characters, and I don't know that when I go up, I'm acting, I know that there are super vulnerable things with my personal songwriting, which I very rarely perform currently. I just had to stop because it was not going in a way that I enjoyed, and so or that I was comfortable with. I think everything's kind of like a performance art for me. Like there's piano, and that was kind of what I always did growing up. So I started playing piano when I was 7 or 8 and never stopped. And I created this world even in that where if I get really good at piano, like bad things won't happen, or I'll be able to pay the bills, or the landlord will hear and he'll like not be hard on my parents' rent this month. This is something that I always say, because I created like this whole system up to make it important in my head that was definitely not just about the music. In fact, I had like a really kind of contentious relationship with music and piano because of that, because it felt like something that I'd created that I had to do, which, is largely narrative, but there's a performance arts element to all of these things, and like with Helium Queens, it totally changes the context in which I'm approaching subject matter. And, it's a sci-fi element. Like there's a lot of grieving that character does for the world and for, loss of love or whatever. Like there's all these, and just the love of humanity is really in there. Like, my character is very obsessed with humans, and wanting to understand that, and then in like the Polyphonic Spree, I'm the keyboard player here. And then in like the Madonna tribute, Prima Donna, I'm the keyboard player, backup vocal. I feel like kind of like a hype man in both of those situations. It's like I'm holding it down. There's so much piano in the Spree, and there's, keyboard bass in almost every song in the Madonna. And, so I just try and provide energy, and lots of energy to the singer, the lead singer, so that they feel supported. That's what I'm thinking I'm doing, but then in all of this, there's also this money versus not money. There's this creative versus commercial. And that's a struggle, I think, because sometimes I change into, with the Madonna band, it's like I'm in pretty much like in some lingerie, some fishnets, and I love it. It feels very like a superpower to dress like that. Like I don't have to worry about certain things dressed like that, except for the sound guys before the show. Sorry, sound guys, I'm about to throw you under the bus, because I often get treated a certain way if we don't have a relationship. I get treated a certain way when I show up like that, and versus everybody else gets treated a different way. And I mean, that's a whole other thing, to talk about. But, by the end of the show, we're all friends and like shake hands.
Do you think like dressing that way, allows some people to like opens up a certain kind of conversation?
A stereotype, I would say. Yeah, I get pretty, I mean, we all have the problem where, is it a cable? Like, can you check this? Can you A/B this? These things happen, but I think there's a difference in approach. I mean, it happens right in front of us, like for forever, where, and this is not everyone, but, again, people I don't feel like I have a relationship with. There's a difference. And I find when sometimes, like when women sound check, I get a lot more of like, could you turn that up maybe a little bit? Just please, just. Most people don't sound check this way. Right. Most guys are just like, they're not asking for anything. Right. It's like this, and of course, there's a broad range. I'm not trying to stereotype all women together, but there's kind of this nervousness and approach.
Well, there's a bit, you have to, remember that they're there for you, not the other way around. And so, a lot of sound guys don't remember that. A lot of like baseball umpires don't remember that. You know, it's like, what's the product here? Why are people here? Why is this band here? Like, why are you here? There's a whole bunch of things going on. And I think sometimes because you're in their domain,
right?
That's their stage,
right?
And their room, and you're coming in, and it's like, hey man, just, and we run into it as well. I think a lot of times people are like, country band. I don't know what they think, but whatever it is, it's not. I try to be like, I think we're really easy, and it's like, but there's like several vocal mics, and everybody's got their own little situation,
right?
But I'm like, there's drum mics. Everyone has a DI out of their amp, and then there's a few vocal mics, and you can kind of, if you'll pay attention at the very beginning of the show, you can kind of check out for the rest of it.
Yeah,
you don't
right.
Like, you don't have to. It is not like intensive production wise.
Yeah.
But if you treat us like a bunch of hillbillies, then you might get some of that back. You know.
Yeah, and I think that is a thing across the board. And I want to be clear. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, this only happens. I think that this is there's so many elements to, the stereotyping or, being treated like a hillbilly or whatever. And this is the thing is it's not all sound guys.
Yeah.
It's not all sound people. It's really not. And when somebody is just, equal playing field, respectful, getting the job done, knows how to manage their emotions and space and has that, like, it can set things up in a way, that's cool. And that exists, so, and why are people here? Maybe it's for the show, but the sound person is the person who makes it sound good. So,
they're all important.
Yeah.
But like,
we love you, sound people.
Yeah.
I just want to say that. Would start a podcast interviewing sound people. Whoa. Grouchy McGrouchies.
Yeah. Like, let's hear it.
That's what we could call it.
Grouchy
McGrouchy, a sound person podcast. Sorry,
there's,
I'm stereotyping sound people now.
Bartenders too. That's
yeah.
That's like actually why everybody's there.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's why someone opened up a bar and was like, well, I'll get music in here. I'll sell drinks.
Yes.
And I had an interesting one because a waitress or like kind of a manager / waitress at a venue that I really like, but I don't get to play that often, came to see me play at a different place. And I was like, well, that's crazy. Like, do we not come to your place enough? And she was like, no, and on my night off, I want to go see music that I like. And I was like, that is a compliment.
Yeah.
And that she works at a venue and even wants to go see music on her night off, but then a band that comes into her place. And I was like, that's huge.
Right.
And ever since then, when I've been back, I'm like, you and we're cool.
Yeah.
What can I do for you? Because that's fucking awesome. It makes me feel really good.
I think it brings up our competition versus cross culture, creating like a thing, right? Like, so you have multiple venues, and then people start showing up at these different places, and it's not that they're necessarily in competition. You're creating a culture. So now there's a music culture. There's multiple things happening. Yeah. People are finding each other. They want to go see what's going on over here, especially, when somebody, when Chad Withers shows up in Austin and I'm like, brah.
Yeah.
My heart, know? But yeah, and I think we could use more of that. Well, I don't know, maybe Dallas and Denton and Fort Worth are kind of insular small scenes. And so there is still, I think, a lot of that gets to happen. Maybe it's like that everywhere. I don't know.
Do you find people that are just fans of you that will come see you in any of your many things, and they're mainly there for you.
That's huge. It's something I never expected or thought about, especially playing tributes, where people really they just like what you're doing as a performer. And what else do you do? And then they show up to Helium Queen shows and whatever I can do to support, because they understand that local music original music is as important, even though they found me through a Smiths tribute or, the Madonna tribute. That I think is really interesting. Yeah.
Same.
And I think it can bridge some of these things, not as much as maybe it could, because, the tribute bands are treated very differently. It's very different worlds, but it could be more crossovery,
Yeah, that works into like sense of identity or whatever, because I did something recently, one tribute act, and a lot of people that follow another band I'm in were there. And then some of the people were like, oh, I like dancing to this. And I was like, well, do you do country dancing? Yeah, I like that. And I was like, well, have you ever seen my country band? And they were like, no, I didn't know you did that. And I'm like, most people I play for or know identify me as that. Yeah. And so it's very cool to be like, they've now seen me in 2 different projects and they don't identify me with that at all. And and then all of a sudden I'm being like, well, come check this out. If you like that, you would love this.
Yeah, because that's kind of what we're having to do. I'm like, if you like mushrooms, you should come to a Helium Queen show. You should. If you like outer space and Star Trek, I wish I would have said Star Trek. I think that would have been funny.
I mean, you were kind of on the line there. The Star Trek.
Yeah, I think that was just the morning accent. It's like 8 a.m. They've had us over here.
So sorry. You were leading me somewhere with that, which was like, do you do anything to cultivate that? Like, do you have a Poppy Xander website?
I mean, I guess there's a website and it's there. There's like people have mailing lists and things. I think most of my stuff is just like social media, and it's kind of a crapshoot. Who's going to see it? And I post. I kind of, a lot of things changed during COVID, right? Like, I think over time, what I started posting on social media changed. And so it's like a lot of flyers and a lot less emotional, personal stuff. Like I just kind of felt like social media wasn't the space for some of that vulnerability anymore. And which I think is incorrect. I think that because there were so many movements and things taking a lot of space, for me, I was like, well, this is important to make space for these movements and things. That was kind of, I think, the social media. I don't know what it was. Sometimes I feel like it was very like kind of trying to, I don't know, suppress something. I don't know if that was like a plan by the government. I don't know what I'm saying, but I stopped posting things that were so vulnerable. And I think I had really gotten known for being very vulnerable on social media and like lots of tearful crying posts and posting about things. And like one day I just felt like I lost kind of the spirit for that. And I bring that up because, I was recently talking to somebody about this. It happened in fashion also. Like I was looking in my closet and I was like, none of these clothes feel like they matter anymore. Like COVID happened and it was like the serious loss and everything felt so heavy. And like wearing these kind of big, loud, obnoxious clothes after not doing it for a year or so didn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, now it's like conservatism is like, you know, it's like kind of everything feels kind of, it still feels that way. Like there's all these atrocities happening in the world. And so it's like, well, who, you know, like it's changed like the way that I think about overindulgence. But, you know, it's weird because, you know, if I wear a plain black shirt versus a vintage shirt I got that costs less and has been used and is not using as many resources, that just happens to be loud. What is it really, you know, doing? And I'm like, so I think for me, you know, I'm starting to like rediscover like expression and fashion and not judging myself and not, you know, and maybe like there's going to be a resurgence as there often is, you know, with music. And, you know, music is very conservative right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing the Americana. I'm sure the people who've been doing Americana the whole time are kind of like, fuck y'all. But, you know, because there's a lot of crossover into this kind of conservative
right
movement right now. It's passing. Mm-hmm. You can pass as long as you're doing the conservative thing. And I don't fucking like that. And so, you know, because I've realized that and I have conversations, about these things, you know, I can move in. And so with social media, I find it's like, it's just all my flyers and stuff like that, you know, and because it's all print, it gets less views in the algorithm of scrolling. And so, it doesn't feel like a good way to communicate. And I don't know what the answer to that is.
I think something in like, that's why I was wondering, like, if you created a space that just was like, this is where, if you want to keep up with me and my music, this could be off of Facebook or outside of social media or on, you could just say, well, look, if you want to keep up with me in this way.
Yeah. And I do have a Patreon and that's kind of where I moved all of that stuff
that's good.
to.
I think that's smart.
But, you know, there's also then you have to post stuff on Patreon on social media to boost people going over there. A lot of it's free because, you know, whatever. But, you know, and most of that money has gone toward funding recordings. So it's like, it's all, you know, being used to create art. So that's helped. The social media is exhausting.
And then, but I guess then you might, if you felt like you could navigate people, be like, if you'll follow me over here, this is where you're going to get that. And then if you want to hear what I think and, you know, be a part of who I am, that's still here.
Right.
But if you're kind of like, if you don't care about that, you know, unfollow or don't pay attention. You just want to come see me perform.
Yeah.
Like both things can exist.
Yeah.
But I understand there is a little bit of you can feel like just by saying something, even if it's I'm upset or I'm unhappy, that can be kind of polarizing. That, you know, just expressing your feelings about something can make you a target for some reason.
Yeah.
In this world. And that's
kind of over
lame.
Yeah. Kind of over it. And then it's all just a bunch of computer work. It's a bunch of like business crap, you know, and it's like when I get really busy, like today I'll be, you know, I'm here and then I have my therapy and then like actual mental health therapy.
Fucking A.
Yeah. And then I do some coaching sessions. I teach some coaching sessions and then I have a rehearsal. Right. So, and it's like some days I'm having like 2 rehearsals, you know, and a gig or whatever. It's bananas. When am I supposed to like get home and post anything anywhere? Like, and I think that still is a struggle for me to like, and for a lot of people to do it, you know, and,
I'm just on put it on my calendar. That's one other thing I got to do, you know, and it sucks because that's some lame shit to put on your calendar.
Yeah.
You know,
gross.
It is. But you're like, well, that's just another thing I did this, I had a long day yesterday, a long day today, something about looking at all that stuff on your schedule and then being like, maybe at the end of the day or in the middle, you're like, okay, I'm halfway done. Or, for me, there's a little bit of accomplishment there rather than I can look down at the end of the day and where it looks like I had nothing planned, but I busted my ass all day. Right. And someone would be like, well, what'd you do?
And I don't have days off. Very rarely.
What did I do? But yeah, I don't feel like I have days off.
I bought these large sticky notes off Amazon, evil corporate Amazon. I bought these large sticky notes, and I've been kind of in this weird space of trying to wrap my brain around so many different projects. Helium Queens is doing the planetarium show. How are we on time? Which is a construct on Helium Queens. That's why I thought about it.
1:12.
Okay, great. So, Helium Queens is doing this planetarium show, and we're like really working with the scientists at UTA to really create this like full story and this musical accompaniment. It's going to be going to all these different places in the universe that correspond with the story. It's just bananas. And to do that, we're also like working on recording an album, finishing recording this album. That'll be our second actual studio album. And then, we're doing some fundraising for that. So just in that project alone, and wanting to play a show outside of Dallas, or DFW, it's like, that's like 50 things right there. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then there's, all these other projects. So I got these giant sticky notes and I just started putting up all over the house, like things that I had to do. And it was starting to get crazy. And so like I did this for like 2 days. And then I walked in from a gig and like they were just like real cheap sticky stuff. And so they're just all over the floor. There's like sticky notes everywhere, just on this neon paper of every color. And they're still there. I just walk over them. They stick to my feet and
yeah,
they'll probably live there for a while,
I think that's kind of okay. That's like, write something down and throw it into the fire, like that's cool.
Just throw it on the floor. Or I didn't throw it anywhere. It just fell by the wayside, plates are going to fall if you're spinning too many and you just got to accept it.
Yeah. You'll put energy in the places where you need it. But again, I mean, I think it's good to write those things down and make a plan.
Yeah.
And it's good to abandon the plan too.
I think one of the things that I have been thinking about a lot lately too is like the musical infrastructure of Dallas, and like why so many people have to leave to pursue careers. That's a whole conversation. And I'm making a living here almost completely as a full-time musician. I have like 6 or 7 students I coach, and that's it. Everything else is music, and performance art, and things, puppet videos. And I think Dallas could really start to use some kind of those key elements that like pull things together that I feel like LA has and New York has, with booking agents and more recording studios and just creating more industry here, the infrastructure for the industry that's here. So that not so many people are having to leave to go kind of pursue those careers, and everybody going to Nashville and, LA, New York, and
it's a really good idea.
I just would love to have a booking agent.
Do you want to,
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do it?
I just want to, no.
Okay.
That's why I need a booking agent.
But you had the idea.
To have more booking agents?
No, but like to create from some infrastructure.
Yeah, it just needs to happen. I think it's one of those untapped, like we have the product here, but we need the people who organize that and who
they're all competing with each other. And they all think the mindset of, I think, a lot of those folks, and again, I'm generalizing, but it's helpful for this argument.
Yeah.
Is I think a lot of people think if somehow you having a seat at the table means less for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think it does.
No.
I think there's so much here that there is plenty of work for everyone. And I think I see people, you know, I went and saw you with Straight Tequila Night. I think there are people who would say that my band is in competition with them. And I do not think that at all.
You're creating a country music culture.
Yes.
You can't just if you have one coffee shop and everybody goes to that coffee shop, but then if you have 2 or 3 and then people are like, oh, this is, then it creates a culture of people who are like trying different coffee, right?
Yeah.
Like you have options and things and you can go to. Yeah. If we could create a little bit more of, you know, having, I think that's where the infrastructure piece would help sort out some of the mess, because it's competitive also partially because I'm the one who has to do it, me. Mm-hmm. And so like I'm spending my time doing that. So, you know, so it feels like I'm always like behind the 8 ball on everything because it's the last thing I want to do. Mm-hmm. Where if there was more people kind of untangling these webs and networking and making it easier and making money off of it, you know, making money at original art too would be something. Having a venue that didn't rely on alcohol sales and
well, I think this might be where creating the industry of Poppy could help you.
Poppy's Playhouse?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. You just, it's like what, you know, but it's because I think when
Stay tuned for Poppy's Playhouse.
Yeah, trademark. We're doing,
Yes, trademark.
But yeah, I think that's one of those things where if you kind of set that into motion and say, you know, then I think it could become a real thing.
Yeah.
And people go, because you do want people to identify you with your original art, but if they only see that it's just, you know, it's psychedelic or it's this tribute or that tribute, it's like in the middle of all this is one person who is, you know, who all these things,
and I think
are
that's
a part of her.
I don't know how that is with in other cities. It's something I've been thinking a lot, but like I think that is a thing here. You know, Charlotte Franklin, people go to see her. Mm-hmm. You know, Chelsea, Danielle, people go to see her perform. You know, and there's a lot of people where it's like whatever the project is, it's like they go to see these people, and I don't know if it's because it's a small enough community and you can kind of find people. You know, like fans can find people and go see these things, you know, so to be continued. Yeah.
I think in that respect, you know, you guys like a super group or something where it's
we're very fortunate that we just kind of fell into each other's mm-hmm. space. And that's because of Denton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the same. We're in a really cool community where you can run into and create music with other people who are very like-minded.
Yeah.
And are also being pulled in all these different directions. But it's a cool thing that you guys have made space to, you know, come together.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
And we need a high speed that goes from Dallas to Denton to Fort Worth. And then we can just actually, you know, be in all these communities at the same time.
Yeah.
Austin, Houston.
Really fast.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. It's still 8 a.m.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that.
Well,
thanks so much for coming by.
I know. I wish we could talk forever. I'm glad. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.